The Eagles take down Kansas City 21-17. I wouldn't really call this a Super Bowl rematch per se because the Eagles aren't hoisting up the Lombardi trophy after winning this game, but you feel really good about their chances of being able to win it all after this win. Let's start off with the Eagles, all right? This wasn't a good offensive display that we saw out of Jalen Hurts and this Eagles offense. This offensive line played as bad as what I've seen out of them the last 2 seasons. Kansas City got consistent pressure on Jalen Hurts in the first half of this game, and there was one moment in the second quarter when Chris Jones just went berserker mode. He had 2 straight sacks on 2 straight plays. They had a hard time slowing him down in the first half, and then in the second half, this offensive line, they played a little bit better, but this passing game couldn't really get anything going outside of that big play to Devontae Smith, which set them up to get a short yardage touchdown. Philadelphia's passing game was not that good in this matchup. All right, Kansas City's defense definitely came to play in this game, but the Eagles' defense, they came to play as well. Patrick Mahomes, for some reason, they had a hard time finding ways to get him off the field in third down situations up until the closing minutes of the fourth quarter. And Philadelphia's defense, you got to give them a lot of props for keeping them in this game, because with the way that the Eagles offense played, I didn't really think that the Chiefs were going to lose this game, especially when they went into halftime with that 17-7 lead. And the way that these Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers played in the second half is like Kansas City really needs to go out there and try to find a significant upgrade to their wide receiving core this offseason. You had the big drop late by NVS. Travis Kelce had a drop. It just wasn't a good performance out of these Chiefs wide receivers. And it's a large reason why I don't think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC right now. I still have to give it to the Ravens. And with this loss, the Ravens are now in full control of the number 1 seed in the AFC conference. Kansas City, they got a great defense. They got Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid and Isaiah Pacheco, but that's about it. And when you look at the way Kansas City's offense stacks up amongst the other teams in the AFC, like the Ravens, the Jaguars, I don't think they got enough firepower to outduel those teams. At the end of the day, yeah, you still have the 3 main cores, but you still need a little bit more talent for Mahomes to be able to take you the distance this year, especially if you don't get that number 1 seed. Kansas City has had the luxury the last couple of years of being able to have that number 1 seed, not having to play a road playoff game, and it's been a huge benefit to their Super Bowl runs. But this season, with how great the quarterback competition is compared to Patrick Mahomes, like we know Patrick Mahomes is the best QB in the game, but I don't think the gap between him and the rest of the other quarterbacks in the AFC is this wide as what people may think. And for Philadelphia, I really didn't understand why they didn't choose to give DeAndre Swift more carries in this game. The offense should have ran through him. Although they won this game, kudos to them, but DeAndre Swift was really the most consistent weapon that they had offensively, and for some reason, in the second half, they just went away from him. Now, he did have a big 30-something yard run, but outside of that, they didn't really utilize him as much as what they should have. When the passing game wasn't working, they should have immediately went to the run game. The run game, they had a good amount of success with. Kansas City's defense did all they could to make sure that Jalen Hurts didn't kill them with his ability to get outside the pocket and extend plays. Mahomes did a really good job at that, but we didn't really see too much of the playmaking ability out of Jalen Hurts in this game. This passing game, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith and company, they were held in check for the most part. But in the second half, although this wasn't a great performance out of the Eagles offense, they came through in a big way when it mattered the most, especially in the fourth quarter. Philadelphia outplayed Kansas City for the majority of the second half. Kansas City got shut out. They scored no points in the second half of this ball game. And for Philadelphia, after you got the Travis Kelce fumble, You thought that the momentum would have tilted on your side, but you went 3-and-out after that. And I was pretty confident once they went 3-and-out after that Travis Kelce fumble in the red zone that they weren't going to win this game. But to their credit, their defense still was able to keep them in this game. They got to stop. Yes, Kansas City gave you some assists. You had a lot of drop passes. You had red zone turnovers. Let's not forget about Patrick Mahomes' red zone interception when he was trying to hit Watson, and it was a great play by Kevin Byard to undercut the route. Red zone turnovers and drops killed Kansas City in this game. But Philadelphia, they didn't really make the most out of those turnovers. Let's just be honest about this. Philadelphia, in this game, they won it because of their defense. That big play to Devontae Smith, which led to that touchdown to make it 14-17, was huge. All right. But then Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, in the closing minutes of the fourth quarter, they were able to sustain enough offense that they were able to go up 21-17. And then it came down to if Mahomes was going to be able to pull off another fourth quarter comeback. And anytime you give Mahomes the ball with 2 minutes or less left on the clock, you feel pretty confident about his ability to pull through and get Kansas City the victory. And I thought that the Eagles were going to need their offense to come through in the last couple of minutes in this game to be able to pull off the win. But their defense, they came up huge in this game. This has to be Philly's best performance on defense that they've had all season long. To have this kind of performance against the Kansas City Chiefs, regardless of the drops that they had in the red zone turnovers, it was huge. Kansas City's pass rush, they were getting after Jalen Hurts in the first half. Philadelphia's pass rush, they couldn't find a way to get Mahomes off the field in the third quarter. Well, on third down, in third down situations, Mahomes was money every single time. He was making guys miss. He was picking up first downs with his legs, or he was getting on the run and finding guys open. But for Philadelphia's defense to tighten down in the fourth quarter and to find a way to stop Kansas City from going ahead and scoring a touchdown to win this game, you have to give a lot of credit to their defensive coordinator. This defense has not been that great this year, at least compared to the level that they performed at last season. But this was a huge stand that this defense made late in this game to give Philadelphia the win. When we talk about the implications of this win for Philadelphia, not too much needs to be said about them. They're 9-1. They got the best record in the NFL. And once again, it looks like they're going to be in control of the 1 seed in the NFC. If you want to get out of this conference, you got to make it out of Philly. Meanwhile, for Kansas City, you can't say the same thing. As I mentioned earlier, a large reason why Kansas City has had so much success in the postseason is because they don't have to go on the road. This season, though, it probably could be a little bit different because now you fall to 7-3 and the Ravens are 8-3, so they're ahead of you right now. And the Dolphins also are 7-3. They're tied with you. Now the Dolphins, you hold the tiebreak over them because you beat them. But if the Dolphins continue to play good football and they beat up on bad teams and they can find a way to beat a good team or two, I think Kansas City is going to find themselves playing on the road, playing the wild card weekend, and not having the luxury of getting that first round bye and not being able to play at home. Kansas City, they got a great defense, but their offense is not as good as what it has been in the past. And although the Patriots haven't won Super Bowls back in their glory days during the Tom Brady and Bill Belichick dynasty, they didn't always have stacked rosters when they won championships. The majority of times when they won Super Bowls, their teams weren't that great, at least on paper when you look at what they had to work with offensively. Kansas City, you wonder if they can be able to win a Super Bowl this season the same way. I strongly doubt that. The Ravens have a way better roster top to bottom than Kansas City, and I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars, when you look at the weapons that Trevor Lawrence has to throw to, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, and Christian Kirk, are too far off from what Kansas City has. I probably would take Jacksonville's offense over Kansas City. Their offensive line isn't great. They can run the football more, and they probably need to lean into running the football a lot more with Isaiah Pacheco because he was great tonight. The run game for Kansas City definitely was there. I wonder why they didn't lean into the run game a lot more in the second half. They kind of got away from that, just like how Philadelphia got away from DeAndre Swift. But the difference in this game was the fact that Philadelphia, they were able to come alive and get enough points. And this defense was able to keep Patrick Mahomes from pulling off the magic that he normally is able to pull off consistently with the ball in his hands with an opportunity to win the game. Philadelphia, they came to play defensively in this game, and this was their best defensive performance all season long. So Philadelphia, they walk away. They improved to 9-1 with this win over Kansas City, and the Chiefs fall to 7-3 on the year.